My stepsister lied about me, essaying her and my own father believed her and threw me in jail. Now they want forgiveness, because the truth is finally out. So here's a fun story about how my own father decided I was guilty before proven innocent, destroyed my entire life, and now expects me to just get over it, because his precious stepdaughter finally admitted she made the whole thing up. Yeah, you read that right. I'm living in a nightmare that started last November and somehow keeps getting worse. I'm 20 years old, was a sophomore at an Ivy League school on a full academic scholarship, had a solid group of friends since middle school, a girlfriend I actually cared about, and a future that looked pretty decent. Engineering major, 3.8 GPA, internship lined up for the summer. Not trying to brag, just giving you context for how thoroughly everything got torched. My dad remarried when I was 15. His new wife had a daughter, Katie, who was 12 at the time. Fine, whatever. I was never really close with Katie, but we were civil. I went off to college, she did her high school thing, and we'd see each other at holidays. Normal step-sibling situation where you coexist without being best friends. Last November, I came home for Thanksgiving break. Wednesday night, I'm unpacking in my old room when my dad knocks and asks to talk. He's got this look on his face I've never seen before. Somewhere between angry and scared. He sits down and just drops it on me. Katie told them I'd been inappropriate with her for years, apparently. Started when she was 13, continued whenever I was home from school. I'm sitting there, like my brain just blue-screened. I asked him to repeat it, because surely I misheard. He repeats it. My stepmom is downstairs crying. Katie gave them this whole detailed story about multiple incidents. They've already decided what they're going to do. I told him it never happened. None of it. I barely even talked to Katie beyond basic pleasantries at dinner. I was at college most of the year. When I was home, I was either in my room, out with my actual friends, or avoiding family gatherings because honestly, I never felt super comfortable around my stepmom. She always seemed to think I resented her for replacing my mom, which wasn't even true since my mom left when I was 7, and I barely remember her. My dad just stared at me. Didn't say he believed me. Didn't say he didn't. Just said they had to take it seriously and do the right thing. The right thing, apparently, meant calling the police the next morning. Thanksgiving was phenomenal that year, let me tell you. I called my roommate that night, told him what was happening. He thought I was pranking him at first. When he realized I wasn't, he told me to get a lawyer immediately. I told my dad I wanted a lawyer before talking to anyone. He said that made me look guilty. I said I didn't care how it looked. This was insane, and I wasn't going down without protecting myself. Friday morning, 2 detectives show up. They're polite, professional. They ask me to come down to the station to answer some questions. My dad drives me there. Doesn't say a single word the entire 20-minute drive. I'm in the back seat like I'm already a criminal. At the station, I stick to the truth. Never happened. Never touched her. Barely had any interaction with her at all. They ask me the same questions 15 different ways. I give them the same answers. They thank me for my cooperation and say they'll be in touch. I figure that's it. They'll investigate, realize there's no evidence because nothing happened, and this will blow over. Katie will admit she made a mistake or misunderstood something, and we'll all move on with our lives. I was incredibly wrong. December rolls around. I'm back at school trying to focus on finals. My dad calls on a Tuesday afternoon. The police are filing charges. There's a warrant for my arrest. I need to turn myself in. I legitimately couldn't breathe for a minute. I asked him what evidence they had. He said Katie's testimony was enough to proceed. I asked if he believed her over me. He said it wasn't about belief. It was about doing what's right for everyone involved. That's when I knew my dad had already convicted me in his head. I turned myself in that Friday after my last final. Got processed, fingerprinted. The whole degrading experience bail hearing was set for Monday. My dad was supposed to post bail. He's not rich, but he's comfortable. Owns his own accounting firm. Has money saved up. The bail was $20,000. He'd only need to put up 10%. He didn't post it. I sat in county jail for 3 weeks because my own father decided I didn't deserve to be out on bail. 3 weeks in a cell with guys who actually committed crimes. Getting sized up constantly. Sleeping on a metal rack. Eating food that barely qualified as edible. I had one cellmate who was in for armed robbery. And even he thought it was messed up that my dad left me in there. The jail experience is something I don't talk about much. Not because nothing happened, but because explaining it to people who've never been locked up is pointless. They don't get what it's like to have zero control over anything. When you eat, when you sleep, when you shower, the constant noise, people yelling at all hours, the smell that never goes away, mix of industrial cleaner and too many bodies in too small a space. I'm 6'1" and was about 170 at the time. Not huge, but not small either. First day in, this guy twice my size comes up and asks what I'm in for. I tell him. He laughs. Says that's not going to go well for me inside. I ask what he means. He says people don't like guys accused of messing with kids, even if they're step-siblings. Says I better keep my head down and my mouth shut. So I did. Stayed in my cell when I could, avoided eye contact, didn't talk unless spoken to. Read every book in the jail library twice. Mostly mystery novels and old westerns. Anything to pass the time and not think about how my entire life was imploding. My public defender was overworked and barely had time to look at my case, but even she seemed skeptical that there was any real evidence. It was all Katie's word. No physical evidence, no witnesses, no nothing. Just a 16-year-old girl saying things happened behind closed doors years ago. She told me the case was weak, but juries are unpredictable with these kinds of accusations. Said I could take a plea deal for something lesser, maybe probation and registration, or roll the dice at trial. I told her I'd rather spend the next 20 years in prison than admit to something I didn't do. She said she respected that, but warned me it could end badly. My girlfriend found out through social media. Someone from my hometown posted about it. She called me once while I was still in jail, crying, asking if it was true. I told her no. She said she didn't know what to believe and needed time to think. That was the last time we spoke. Her name was Jenna. We'd been together since freshman year, met in an intro physics class, bonded over how much we both hated the professor. She was smart, funny, actually understood my sense of humor. I'd been thinking about asking her to move in together next year. When she called, her voice was so small, she kept saying she wanted to believe me, but everyone was talking, and her parents were freaking out. I told her I understood if she needed space. She said she'd call back after thinking about it. She never called back. Found out later she started dating some guy from her biology study group about 2 weeks after I got arrested. Guess she finished thinking. My school found out because apparently someone in the administration saw the news. Small local paper ran a story. Student at prestigious university arrested on serious charges. Didn't name me, but enough details that people figured it out. The school suspended me pending the outcome of the legal case translation. Expelled with extra steps. I got the email from the dean while I was still locked up. My public defender had to read it to me during one of our meetings. Very formal, very apologetic, very final. They understood this was difficult, but had to prioritize the safety and well-being of their community. I could petition for readmission if the charges were resolved in my favor. If, not when. If. Like they'd already decided I probably did it. I got out right before Christmas. My court-appointed lawyer managed to get me released on my own recognizance after convincing the judge I wasn't a flight risk. I went back to my dad's house because I had nowhere else to go. My dorm room had been cleared out. My stuff was in boxes in the garage. Walking into that house was surreal. My stepmom barely looked at me. Katie was in her room with the door locked. My dad tried to act like everything was normal, asking if I wanted dinner, telling me about his day at work. I went straight to my room and didn't come out for the rest of the night. Christmas was a blast. Katie avoided me completely. My stepmom looked at me like I was a monster. My dad tried to act normal, asking about my plans, talking about the legal process. I didn't say 5 words to him the entire break. Christmas morning, my dad tried to maintain traditions, made pancakes like he always did, set up the tree, put on Christmas music, even bought presents. Mine were still wrapped under the tree. I looked at them and felt nothing. Just cardboard boxes wrapped in paper, given by a man who thought I was capable of hurting a kid. I didn't open them. Still haven't. They're in my closet somewhere my friends from high school knew. Half of them stopped responding to texts. The other half sent these weird, careful messages, like they were talking to someone on a ledge. My best friend since 6th grade, Tyler, told me his parents didn't want him hanging around me until everything got sorted out. 20+ years of friendship gone. Tyler and I built a treehouse in his backyard when we were 10. Spent every summer together until high school. He was my wingman at parties, helped me study for SATs, drove me to the airport when I left for college. We had plans to room together senior year. His mom called my dad, said she was sorry, but they had to protect their family. Said once the legal situation was resolved, maybe things could go back to normal. My dad told me about the call like he expected me to understand. Like it was reasonable for everyone to abandon me based on an accusation I told him. When people show you who they are, believe them. He didn't get it. The girl I took to junior prom blocked me on everything. People I'd known my entire life crossed the street when they saw me at the grocery store. I was a pariah in my own hometown. My lawyer kept saying the case was weak. No evidence, no corroboration, just an accusation. But she also said cases like this are unpredictable. Juries are emotional. Or I could fight it and win, Or I could take a plea deal for something lesser and avoid prison time. I told her I wasn't pleading guilty to something I didn't do. I'd rather go to trial and let 12 strangers decide than admit to something that never happened. She respected that, but warned me it could go badly. Said I should prepare myself for the possibility of conviction. Said I should think about what I'd want my life to look like if I ended up serving time. I couldn't even process that conversation. Serving time for something I didn't do. Becoming a registered person for life. Never being able to work in most fields. Never being able to live near schools or parks. Having to tell neighbors and employers for the rest of my life about something that never happened. That was my reality for 3 months. Living in limbo, waiting for a trial that would determine my entire future based on one person's lies. January comes around. I'm not in school, can't get a job because who's hiring someone with pending charges? And I'm basically under house arrest. At my dad's place, I spend most of my time in my room, applying to other schools for the fall, trying to salvage something from this disaster. My dad keeps trying to talk to me, keeps saying he's sorry it's come to this, but they had to take Katie's accusations seriously. Keep saying once the trial is over and the truth comes out, everything will go back to normal. I told him there's no going back to normal. He destroyed that option when he left me in jail. He looked hurt, like I was being unreasonable, like I was the problem. Mid-January, my lawyer calls. Wants to meet in person. I figure it's about trial prep. I drive to her office and she's got this weird expression on her face. Not quite relief, not quite anger. Something in between. Katie recanted. Completely. Totally. Admitted she made the whole thing up. Apparently, she'd been having sex with her boyfriend since last summer. Got scared her mom would find out. Panicked and came up with this story to deflect attention. Thought if she accused me, no one would suspect she was actually active. Figured they'd investigate, find nothing, and just let it drop. Didn't count on her mom and my dad actually pressing charges. The prosecutor dropped everything immediately. My record would be expunged. I was free to go, legally speaking. My lawyer said she'd never seen anything like it. She apologized for what I went through. Said she'd write a letter to the school on my behalf explaining everything. Asked if I planned to sue for wrongful prosecution or false accusation. I told her I just wanted it to be over. She gave me her card and said if I changed my mind to call her. Said Katie could face charges for filing a false report, but it was unlikely given her age. Said my family could technically face civil liability, but that was complicated. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to leave her office and never think about lawyers or court or any of it ever again. I went home and told my dad he was in his office. I just walked in and said Katie admitted she lied, and the charges were dropped. He stood up, started crying, tried to hug me. I stepped back. Told him don't touch me. He said he was sorry. So sorry. Said he'd call the school, call my friends, call everyone and explain what happened. Said, we could fix this. I told him there's nothing to fix. He made his choice when he picked her story over mine, when he left me in jail, when he decided I was guilty without a shred of evidence. My stepmom came in, also crying, also apologizing, said they were sending Katie to live with her father in another state, said they were cutting her out of the will, said they'd do whatever it took to make this right. I looked at both of them and said the only thing that would make it right is a time machine, and since that doesn't exist, we're done. They kept talking, kept apologizing, kept promising things. I walked out and went to my room. That was 6 weeks ago. I'm still here because I literally have nowhere else to go. My savings are gone on legal fees, even with a public defender. I can't get an apartment without a job, and I can't get a job because I spent the last few months dealing with this nightmare instead of working. My school sent a very polite letter saying they sympathize with my situation, but I'd need to reapply for next year and go through the whole admissions process again. No guarantee of acceptance. Scholarship is gone regardless. The letter from the school was 3 paragraphs. First paragraph, sympathy for my situation. Second paragraph, explanation of their policies. Third paragraph, best wishes for my future endeavors. Translation: we don't want the liability of a student who was accused of something like this, even though charges were dropped. Good luck elsewhere. I called the admissions office. Talked to some administrator who sounded genuinely sorry, but completely unwilling to help. Kept saying their hands were tied by policy. Kept saying I was welcome to reapply, but couldn't promise anything. I asked about my scholarship. She said scholarships are awarded to incoming students, and since I was no longer enrolled, I'd have to compete for funding again. With next year's applicants, I asked if the fact that I was falsely accused mattered at all. She said of course it mattered, but policy was policy. I hung up. My ex-girlfriend never reached back out. Found out through Instagram. She's dating someone else now. Good for her, I guess. Tyler texted me after he heard the charges were dropped. Said he was glad it all worked out and we should hang out sometime. I left him on red. If he believed that garbage in the first place, we were never actually friends. Most of my other former friends sent similar messages, all trying to pretend they didn't ghost me when I needed them, all acting like we can just pick up where we left off. I blocked every single one of them. Here's what my days look like now. I wake up around 10 because I've got nothing to wake up for. I make breakfast, avoid my dad and stepmom as much as possible. I apply to jobs I'm overqualified for, and schools that probably won't accept me. I work out in the garage because I started losing weight from stress and figured I might as well control something about my body. I eat dinner in my room, I go to sleep. The garage has become my sanctuary. My dad's got an old weight set down there from when he used to work out in his 20s. Bench press, dumbbells, a pull-up bar. I spend 2 hours a day down there, lifting until my muscles give out. It's the only time my brain shuts off completely. I've put on about 15 pounds of muscle since January. Not intentional, just what happens when you have nothing to do but eat, sleep, and lift weights. My dad commented on it once, said I was looking strong. I didn't respond. My dad knocks on my door at least twice a day trying to talk. I don't answer. He leaves food outside sometimes. I wait until he's gone to take it. My stepmom wrote me a letter, left it on my desk while I was out. 4 pages of apologies and explanations and justifications. I read the first paragraph and threw it away. The first paragraph started with, "I know you're angry." Like that was the problem. Like I was just having an emotional reaction and needed time to cool off. I'm not angry. I'm done. There's a difference. Katie is gone, living with her dad in another state. I don't know the details and I don't care. She destroyed my life to cover up having a boyfriend. That's the level of selfish stupidity I'm dealing with. The funny thing is, everyone expects me to forgive them now. My dad acts like the fact that the truth came out means we can all move forward. My stepmom thinks sending Katie away and cutting her from the will is punishment enough. They think I should be grateful they're trying to help me get back into school. They don't get it. They can't get it. I'm not the same person I was before this started. That guy died in a county jail cell when he realized his own father thought he was capable of hurting a kid. That guy died when his girlfriend chose to believe a lie over 5 years of knowing him. That guy died when his lifelong friends abandoned him without a second thought. Whoever I am now, I'm someone who knows exactly how conditional love actually is, how quickly people will turn on you when things get difficult, how little benefit of the doubt actually means. My dad found my Reddit account somehow, left a comment on one of my posts about gaming saying he loves me and wants to fix things. I deleted the comment and made a new account. I'm not interested in fixing things. You don't fix a bridge after you burn it. You just accept it's gone and find another way across. I've been looking at apartments in other cities, cheap studios in places where no one knows my name or my story. I've got enough saved up now for first month, last month, and deposit I'm leaving in 2 weeks. Haven't told my dad. He'll figure it out when I'm gone. Found a place about 4 hours away, near a state university where I got accepted for fall semester $600 a month for a studio with a kitchenette and bathroom. It's in a building that's seen better days, but the landlord didn't ask too many questions and didn't run a background check cash only, month to month. Perfect for someone trying to disappear. He keeps talking about getting me into college again. Keeps saying he'll pay for everything. Help me get my life back on track. Doesn't understand that my life was already on track before he derailed it. And even if I get into another school, even if I graduate, that missing year is going to follow me. Every job interview, every background check, every time someone searches my name online, there's an article about it. Local paper, online archive. My name, the charges, everything. Even though it says charges were dropped, it's still there, forever. Anyone can find it. That's my legacy now. Not my scholarship, not my GPA, not the person I actually am. Just an accusation that wasn't even true. I've searched my own name probably 50 times. The article is always the third result. Under my LinkedIn and an old high school track meet result, there it is. My name, the charges, my mugshot from when I got processed. The mugshot is the worst part. I look terrified. 20 years old, wearing an orange jumpsuit, holding a number. That photo is what future employers will see future girlfriends. Future everyone. My stepmom asked if I'd be willing to do family counseling. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. She looked so hurt. Like I was being unreasonable for not wanting to sit in a room and talk about feelings with the people who destroyed me. I told her the only counseling I'd be interested in is the kind that helps me figure out how to move on without them in my life. She started crying again. They cry a lot these days. My dad cries. My stepmom cries. They want me to cry too, I think. Want me to break down and have some emotional moment where we all hug and forgive each other. I'm not giving them that. I've cried plenty. Did most of it in jail where they left me. Did more of it when I realized everyone I thought cared about me was gone. I'm done crying about it. Now I'm just planning. Figure out the next move. Execute it. Don't look back. I got accepted to a state school about 4 hours from here. Not Ivy League, not even close, but it's something. They reviewed my case, talked to my lawyer, and agreed to admit me for fall semester. No scholarship, obviously, but my dad's been begging to pay for it. I'm letting him. Figure it's the least he can do after flushing my first ride down the toilet. The state school is decent. Not prestigious, but they've got a solid engineering program. I talked to an admissions counselor who actually seemed to give a damn about my situation. She said they'd had similar cases before and didn't hold false accusations against applicants. Said she'd make sure my file had the documentation about charges being dropped. First person in months who treated me like a human being instead of a liability, but I'm not doing it for him. I'm doing it because I'm not letting Katie's lie define the rest of my life. I'm getting my degree, getting a job, and building something that belongs to me and only me. My dad keeps asking when I'll be ready to talk. Really talk, he says. Not just logistics about school or money, but about us. About the family I told him there is no us anymore. There's him, his wife, and their choices. And then there's me, separate. That's how it's going to stay. He said I'm being stubborn, and eventually I'll realize they were in an impossible position. I said no. He was in a position where he could have chosen to believe his son. Instead, he chose to believe a teenager with a story and zero evidence. That wasn't impossible. That was a choice. He didn't have a response to that. Here's the thing that really gets me. Everyone keeps acting like this has a resolution. Like because the truth came out, we can all go back to normal. Like I'm supposed to be relieved and grateful and ready to rebuild. But they're missing the entire point. The truth came out by accident. Katie's confession wasn't because she felt guilty about what she did to me. It was because she couldn't handle the weight of the lie anymore. If she'd been stronger, if she'd stuck to her story, I'd be in prison right now. And my dad would have been fine with that. That's what I can't get past. He was willing to let me go to prison. His own son. The kid he raised, put through school, supposedly loved more than anything. He was ready to watch me get convicted and sent away. And now he wants forgiveness because it turned out I was innocent? That's not how it works. You don't get credit for eventually believing the truth when you should have believed it from the start. My stepmom keeps saying they were trying to protect Katie, that they had to take her seriously because abuse victims need support. I told her Katie wasn't a victim. I was. And they chose wrong. She said they didn't know that at the time. I said they could have known if they'd spent 5 seconds thinking about it. I'd never given them a single reason to think I was capable of something like that. Never been violent, never been inappropriate, never been anything other than a decent kid who stayed out of trouble and did well in school. But apparently, none of that mattered. Katie's tears mattered more than 2 decades of me being their son. I'm not angry anymore. I was, for a while. Spent a lot of time furious at all of them. Katie for lying, my dad for believing her, my stepmom for pushing it, my ex for bailing, my friends for disappearing. But anger takes energy, and I needed that energy for other things. Now I'm just done. Done with all of it. Done with people who only stick around when life is easy. Done with family that's conditional on you, never being accused of anything. Done with pretending any of this is fixable. I'm moving in 2 weeks, like I said. Got a studio apartment near campus. It's small and kind of run down, but it's mine. My dad doesn't know the address, and he's not getting it. He asked if I'd come home for holidays. I said no. He asked if I'd call sometimes. I said probably not. He asked what he could do to make me stay in contact. I told him there's nothing. He made his choice, and now I'm making mine. He said I'm throwing away family over a mistake. I said he threw away his son over a lie, big difference. My stepmom tried a different approach. Said I'm young and hurt, and eventually I'll understand they were in an impossible situation. Said when I'm older and maybe have kids of my own, I'll see how hard these decisions are. I told her if I ever have kids, I'll believe them when they tell me they're innocent. That's not hard. That's basic parenting. She didn't have a response to that either. Katie sent me a message through my stepmom's phone. Long apology, lots of crying apparently, begging me to forgive her. Saying she was scared and stupid and never meant for it to go this far. I didn't respond. What's there to say? Sorry doesn't rebuild a life. Sorry doesn't get me back into my school. Sorry doesn't make my friends not cowards. Sorry doesn't erase my dad's face when he told me he couldn't post bail. She's 16. She'll move on, finish high school, go to college, and probably barely remember this in 10 years. It'll be a story she tells about a time she messed up as a teenager. For me, it's permanent. Every background check, every relationship where I have to explain it, every time someone searches my name, it's always going to be there. So no, I don't forgive her. And I'm not interested in making her feel better about what she did. 2 weeks, and I'm gone. Starting over in a new city where nobody knows about any of this, I'll finish school, get a job, build a life. Maybe eventually I'll trust people again. Maybe not. But one thing's for sure. I'm never trusting my dad again. That bridge isn't burned. It's nuked from orbit. He keeps leaving notes under my door. Stupid stuff like inspirational quotes and memories from when I was a kid. Trying to remind me of better times, I guess. Trying to make me remember when we were actually father and son. Last week he left a photo. Me and him at my 8th grade graduation, big smiles. His arm around my shoulder. Back when I thought he'd always have my back. Back when I was stupid enough to believe family meant something. I tore it up and threw it away. It's not working. Those memories just make it worse. Because that version of my dad, the one who taught me to ride a bike and helped with homework and showed up to every school event, that dad would have believed me. That dad would have posted bail. That dad would have fought for me. This version, the one who picked his wife's daughter over his own son, is a stranger. And I don't owe strangers anything. People on Reddit keep telling me I should consider forgiving them eventually. That holding on to anger will hurt me more than them. That family is important, and I shouldn't throw it away. But here's what those people don't get. I'm not holding on to anger. I'm holding on to self-respect. And self-respect means not accepting how they treated me, just because the truth eventually came out. They had a choice. Believe me or believe Katie. They chose Katie. That choice has consequences. One of those consequences is they don't get to be my family anymore. I'll take their money for school because, practically speaking, I need it. But that's a transaction, not a relationship. They pay tuition, I get my degree, we never talk again. Clean. Simple. My dad asked what he's supposed to tell people when they ask about me. I said, tell them I'm doing great, and we don't talk. That should cover it. He looked devastated. Good. Maybe one day he'll understand what devastated actually feels like. Though I doubt it, because he still has his wife, his house, his job, his life. He lost me, but apparently that's a price he's willing to pay. Katie is gone, but that's because she embarrassed them. Not because of what she did to me. If the truth hadn't come out, if I'd been convicted, they'd still be together playing happy family while I rotted in prison. That tells me everything I need to know about their priorities. So yeah, that's my story. Stepsister lied. Dad believed her. My life got destroyed. Truth came out too late to matter. And now everyone wants me to just get over it and move on like nothing happened. Not happening. I'm moving on all right. Moving on without them. Building something new where they don't get to be involved. Where their apologies and tears and promises don't mean anything because they're not invited. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe that makes me unforgiving. I genuinely don't care. I learned a valuable lesson through all this. People will show you who they really are when you need them most. And once they show you, believe them. My dad showed me he'd throw me away when it was convenient. My friends showed me they were only around for the good times. My ex showed me her trust was paper-thin fine. Message received. I know who everyone is now. And I'm moving forward with that knowledge. 2 weeks and counting. New city, new school, new life. This version doesn't include people who couldn't be bothered to stand by me when it mattered. And honestly, I think I'm going to be better off for it. The other day, I was packing up my room, found my old yearbook from senior year, flipped through it, saw all the signatures from people promising to stay in touch forever. Tyler wrote, "Brothers for life," in big letters across his photo. I threw the whole thing in the trash. That's the thing about promises. They're only worth something when they're kept. And when the people making them bail at the first sign of trouble, those promises become nothing but empty words on paper. I've learned to stop believing in empty words. Actions are what matter. And the actions I've seen from everyone in my life have shown me exactly where I stand. My dad's actions told me I'm disposable when things get complicated. My stepmom's actions told me her daughter's lies matter more than my truth. Katie's actions told me she's willing to destroy someone's life to avoid getting grounded. My friend's actions told me they were never really friends at all. So I'm taking my own actions now. Moving out, moving on, and never looking back. Some people might say I'm running away. I'd say I'm running towards something better. Toward a life where I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop. Where I'm not wondering when the people around me are going to decide I'm not worth standing by. I'd rather be alone and know where I stand than surrounded by people who'll disappear when it matters. My dad tried one more time yesterday. Came to my room, knocked, asked if we could talk. I opened the door just enough to look at him. He said he knows I'm leaving soon and wanted one more chance to make things right. Said he's been thinking about everything and realizes how badly he failed me. Said he'll spend the rest of his life trying to make up for it. If I just give him a chance, I looked at him and said, "There's nothing to make up. What's done is done." I told him I appreciate the offer to pay for school, but that's where our relationship ends. Financial transaction, nothing more. He started crying. Asked if I'd at least call on holidays. I said no. Asked if I'd let him know I was okay. Once in a while I said probably not. Asked if there was anything at all he could do. I said yeah, actually. Give me my space and don't contact me unless it's about tuition payments. Then I closed the door, heard him standing there for a few minutes, then footsteps walking away. That's the last real conversation we'll probably ever have. And I'm okay with that. Some bridges are supposed to burn. Some relationships are supposed to end. This is one of them. In 2 weeks, I'll load up my car with everything that matters to me, which honestly isn't much anymore. Some clothes, my laptop, a few books. Everything else can stay here and rot for all I care. I'll drive 4 hours to a city where nobody knows my name or my story. I'll move into a studio apartment and start over from scratch. I'll go to a school that isn't prestigious, but will get me a degree. I'll graduate, get a job, build a career, and I'll do it all without them. Without the dad who threw me away. Without the friends who abandoned me. Without the girlfriend who didn't believe me, without any of them. Some people need family and friends to be happy. Maybe I used to be one of those people. But that guy died in a jail cell last December. The person I am now doesn't need anyone but himself. And you know what? I'm good with that. Better to be alone and self-sufficient than surrounded by people who will bail when things get hard. So that's where I'm at. 2 weeks from freedom. 2 weeks from a fresh start. 2 weeks from leaving all of this behind and never looking back. People keep asking if I'll ever forgive them, if I'll ever come around and give them another chance. The answer is no. Hard no. Not interested. They had their chance. They blew it. That's on them, not me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.